The sky turned an angry purple as lightning cracked across the horizon of planet Viera. Captain June Kim cursed under his breath as he lost sight of his team through the dense forest canopy. The storm had come out of nowhere, separating him from the rest of the human expedition. "Command, do you copy?" June adjusted his comm unit, hearing only static in response. "Great," he muttered, checking his location scanner. The nearest shelter was 3 kilometers east, some kind of structure his team had spotted from orbit. Rain began to fall in heavy sheets as June made his way through the alien terrain. The trees here grew sideways, their trunks bending at impossible angles, creating natural archways decorated with glowing blue moss. Under different circumstances, he might have appreciated the beauty. 2 hours later, soaked to the bone, June finally spotted the structure. Not just a simple building, but an enormous temple complex carved into the side of a mountain. Strange symbols decorated massive stone pillars, and statues of warrior figures lined the entrance path. "This wasn't in the briefing," June whispered, activating his suit's recording function. He approached carefully, seeking shelter under an overhang while maintaining a safe distance. Movement caught his eye. June quickly ducked behind a pillar and watched as a group emerged from the temple. His breath caught in his throat. They were humanoid but unmistakably alien, at least 7 feet tall with blue-tinted skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Most striking were the warriors at the front, female, based on their physiology, but more powerfully built than any human soldier June had ever seen. They wore armor made from some kind of metallic scales, each carrying weapons that looked like a cross between spears and energy rifles. June's translator picked up fragments of their language, converting it to broken English in his earpiece. "Trespassers. Execution. Warning to others." His blood ran cold as he saw what followed. 3 smaller aliens from a species June didn't recognize being marched out in chains. The leader of the Blue Warriors spoke loudly, her voice carrying across the temple grounds. The translator struggled. Sacred ground, violation, punishment. Without ceremony, the 3 prisoners were forced to kneel. June wanted to look away but couldn't. These blue Amazon warriors weren't just strong, they were utterly merciless. With 3 synchronized swings of their weapons, the prisoners were executed. "I need to get out of here," June whispered, slowly backing away. His training kicked in. Observe, report, do not engage. First contact situations were delicate enough without witnessing what appeared to be a ritual execution. As he edged backward, his boot dislodged a small stone. The tiny sound seemed amplified in the quiet after the storm, and one of the warriors turned sharply in his direction. June froze, hoping the shadows would conceal him, but those hopes died when he found himself staring into the piercing golden eyes of the warrior who had separated from the group to investigate. She was magnificent and terrifying, taller than the others, with intricate markings on her face that probably signified rank. A scar ran from her left temple to jaw, giving her an even more formidable appearance. "Human," she said, the word clear even without the translator. She raised her weapon. In that moment, June made a split-second calculation. Running was pointless. Based on their physiology, she'd catch him in seconds. Fighting head-on was suicide. His only advantage was that she clearly expected him to do one of those 2 things. So he did neither. "I come in peace," he said calmly, lowering his stance and displaying empty hands, a universal gesture of non-aggression. The warrior seemed momentarily confused by his lack of fear, giving June precious seconds to observe her stance. Despite her strength, her weight distribution suggested a fighting style based on forward power, not flexibility. Military training from 3 continents on Earth had taught June that even the strongest opponent had patterns. "You trespass on sacred ground," she finally said, her translator working better than his. "I am Hana, first blade of the Viren Temple Guard. Your punishment is death." She lunged with shocking speed, but June had anticipated the direct attack. He sidestepped, using her momentum against her, a basic Aikido principle that worked on any being that followed physical laws. Hana recovered quickly, surprise flashing across her face. "You will not escape, human." What followed was the strangest combat of June's life. Each time she attacked with overwhelming force, he redirected rather than blocked, conserving energy while she expended hers. It was like dancing with a hurricane. One wrong move meant death. 4 minutes in, June spotted the pattern in her attacks. The Viren fighting style, for all its power, was predictable. 3 strikes followed by a reset stance. During that microsecond of transition, June waited until her 3rd strike, then dropped to the ground and swept her legs, not with enough force to knock her down, but to unbalance her just as she was shifting her weight. As she stumbled, he targeted the nerve cluster visible on Viren necks. Thank goodness for those pre-mission xenobiology briefings. A precise strike, and the mighty warrior collapsed unconscious. Breathing hard, June stared in disbelief at what he'd done. According to protocol, he should leave immediately, but the other warriors would find her and they would hunt him. His mission, humanity's first detailed exploration of this sector, would be compromised. Making a decision that would change the course of human-Viren relations forever, June activated his emergency beacon and hoisted the unconscious warrior over his shoulder with considerable effort. "Command," he gasped into his comm. "I'm coming in hot with a guest. Prepare containment and alert the xenobiology team. First contact has been made." As he struggled through the forest with his burden, June couldn't know that he had just done the impossible, defeated a Viren elite warrior in single combat, something that would have profound implications in their culture and for his own future. The containment chamber aboard the research vessel Horizon hummed with energy as Hana regained consciousness. Her golden eyes snapped open, immediately taking in her surroundings, the transparent barrier, the strange metal walls, and the small humans in white coats observing her from a safe distance. She roared, a sound that made the scientists flinch, despite the soundproofing. With a single powerful movement, she slammed her fist against the barrier. It flickered but held. "She's testing the containment field," said Dr. Lee, checking the readings on her tablet. "Impressive strength even after being sedated." June stood back, watching silently. He hadn't slept since bringing the alien warrior aboard 18 hours ago. His decision to capture rather than retreat had caused heated debate among the ship's leadership. Captain Rivera had barely spoken to him since the emergency meeting. "Captain Kim," Dr. Lee called him over. "She's asking for you. Well, demanding, actually. She keeps saying something our translators are picking up as the worthy one." June ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "I should talk to her." "Are you sure that's wise?" Dr. Lee glanced nervously at their captive, who was now standing perfectly still, staring directly at June. "She looks like she wants to tear your head off." "Probably does," June admitted. "But we need information and she's not giving it to your team." After a brief security briefing, and with a medical drone hovering nearby to monitor his vitals, June entered the antechamber. A section of the barrier dematerialized just long enough for him to step through before resealing. Hana towered over him, her blue skin shimmering under the bright lights. Without her armor, dressed in the simple garments they'd provided, she looked no less intimidating. "So," she said, her voice lower and more resonant than human vocal cords could produce. "The little warrior returns." June maintained eye contact despite having to look up. "I'm Captain June Kim of the Earth Alliance. I apologize for bringing you here, but you didn't leave me many options. You captured me through trickery," she stated, circling him slowly. "I used strategy against a superior opponent. There's no dishonor in that." That made her pause. "You know of honor?" "Every culture has some concept of it," June replied, "though they don't always agree on the details." A sound came from Hana that the translator didn't catch, perhaps a laugh or scoff. "Your people are soft and small, yet you defeated me. This has never happened." "I'm sure you could break me in half if you caught me," June said honestly. "But strength isn't everything." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent announcement over the ship's comm system. "All personnel to battle stations. Unidentified vessels approaching. This is not a drill." June turned to leave, but Hana's voice stopped him. "Your ship is about to be attacked by my people," she said calmly. The High Council doesn't negotiate for captured warriors. They eliminate those who took them, along with anyone who failed to prevent their own capture. The light suddenly flickered and the containment field wavered momentarily. They're already in your systems, Hana continued. Viren technology is far superior to yours. June made a quick decision. If what you're saying is true, we're all dead anyway. So let me ask you something. Is this how you want to die? Locked in a box while your people kill everyone on this ship? Her eyes narrowed. What alternative do you offer? I don't know yet, June admitted. But I'd rather go down, fighting than standing around waiting. The ship shuddered violently, and the lights went out completely. When the emergency systems kicked in seconds later, the containment field was gone. June found himself alone in a dark room with a warrior who had every reason to kill him. He tensed, prepared for the attack that never came. Instead, Hana tilted her head. You are interesting, human. Take me to your command center. So you can help your people destroy us more efficiently? So I can see what I'm dealing with, she countered. My death was ordered the moment I was captured. In the eyes of the High Council, I am already dead. But I choose how I die. Another explosion rocked the ship. With no better options, June made the call. Follow me. But if you make one wrong, move, you'll what? Her expression might have been amusement. Try to defeat me again? They raced through corridors filled with panicking crew members. No one tried to stop them. Everyone was too busy responding to the attack. When they reached the bridge, Captain Rivera's face contorted with shock and anger. What the hell is she doing here? Security. Wait! June stepped between the approaching security officers and Hana. She has information. The Virens are in our systems. He's right, said the communications officer. We're being hacked through channels we didn't even know existed. Hana stepped forward, examining the tactical displays. 3 scout ships, carrying approximately 15 warriors each. They're creating a diversion while the tech specialists infiltrate your central computer. Rivera looked skeptical. And why would you help us? Before Hana could answer, a new alert sounded. Captain, intruders in engineering. The tactical display showed 5 red dots moving through the ship's lower decks. Saboteurs, Hana explained. They will destroy your engines, then your life support. It's standard procedure. June turned to her. Can you stop them? We could, she replied, emphasizing the we. Your tactics, my knowledge of their methods. Rivera looked between them, clearly struggling with the decision. Another explosion made it for her. Go, she ordered. Take a security team. As they ran toward engineering, June glanced at Hana. Why are you doing this? Because you earned my respect, she said simply. In 300 years, no one has defeated me in combat. That means something in my culture. They reached engineering just as the saboteurs were placing explosive devices. What followed was unlike any combat June had ever experienced. He called out patterns and weaknesses, while Hana executed with breathtaking power and precision. The security team could barely keep up, watching in awe as human strategy and Viren strength combined devastatingly. When it was over, the saboteurs were incapacitated, and the ship was safe. Hana stood amidst the aftermath, blue blood trickling from a cut on her arm, looking at June with newfound respect. Your weakness is your strength, she said, seeming surprised by her own words. You humans think differently because you must. It's effective. As the security team secured the prisoners, June smiled slightly. I'll take that as a compliment. It's more than that, Hana replied, her expression unreadable. It's the beginning of something your people don't yet understand. June couldn't know it then, but those words would prove more prophetic than either of them realized. The damage to the horizon was substantial. 3 decks had been sealed off due to hull breaches, communications were down, and the engine room was running on emergency power only. In the chaos following the attack, June and Hana found themselves trapped in a maintenance section of the ship, cut off from both the bridge and engineering by collapsed corridors. Your repair teams will reach us eventually, June said, examining the sealed door. Probably a few hours, though. Hana sat cross-legged on the floor, her tall frame making the small room seem even more cramped. Your ship is primitive. Thanks for the assessment, June replied dryly. He slid down the wall opposite her, finally allowing his exhaustion to show. And thanks for helping save it. The blue-skinned warrior studied him with those unsettling golden eyes. You're bleeding. June touched his temple, his fingers coming away red. Just a scratch. Humans are fragile, she observed. We manage. June reached for his emergency pack and pulled out a small medical kit. As he tried to clean the cut, his hand shook from fatigue. Without warning, Hana moved across the space and took the antiseptic wipe from him. Hold still. Her fingers were surprisingly gentle as she cleaned the wound. This close, June could see the intricate patterns in her irises and the subtle variations in her blue skin tone. Why did you really help us? He asked. It wasn't just because I got lucky and took you down once. Hana finished tending his wound before answering. On Viera, strength determines everything. Our social hierarchy, our mating rights, our entire culture is built around power and combat skill. She sat back, maintaining a closer distance than before. For 3 centuries I have been First Blade. Do you understand what that means? You're the best warrior, June guessed. The strongest, she corrected. The one no one could defeat. Until you. Her expression showed conflict. Our traditions are clear on this matter. One who defeats a warrior in fair combat earns certain rights. June's eyebrows rose. What kind of rights? In ancient times, when a warrior was defeated, they became bonded to their conqueror. This tradition has evolved, but the principle remains. Defeat represents significant biological compatibility in our culture. June blinked, processing her words. Wait, are you saying because I beat you in a fight, we're supposed to be compatible? It is more complex than your simple phrasing suggests, Hana said, a trace of irritation crossing her features. For centuries, I have tested potential. Mates through combat, none proved worthy. My strength meant isolation. The implication slowly dawned on June. So when I took you down, it changed everything, she confirmed. Though I was angry to be captured, a part of me was curious. No Viren could have done what you did. You used intelligence where we would use force. June ran a hand through his hair, unsure how to respond. On Earth, we don't generally choose partners based on who can win a fight. This seemed to genuinely interest Hana. Then how do you select mates? It's complicated. June laughed. Shared interests, emotional connection, compatibility in goals and values. Sometimes just chemistry. Chemistry? A feeling. An attraction that's hard to explain. Hana considered this. We have something similar. We call it soul recognition. But we believe it can only occur between truly matched individuals, equals in their complementary strengths. The conversation continued as hours passed. June described Earth's diverse cultures and how relationships varied across them. Hana explained the complex honor codes of her people, how strength was valued but so was loyalty and protection of the weaker members of their society. So your people aren't just warriors? June asked. We are a multifaceted society, Hana replied, seeming pleased by his interest. We have scholars, artists, scientists. But all Virens undergo warrior training. Those with the greatest aptitude join the temple guards or military castes. And you were the best of them all. A hint of pride crossed her face. I was blessed with exceptional physical abilities even for my kind, but this became a curse in some ways. No one could challenge me, no one could understand the loneliness of being without equal. For the first time, June saw beyond the fierce warrior to the person beneath. That sounds isolating. It was my duty and honor, she said, but her eyes betrayed something more complex. Until a small human used my strength against me with nothing but his mind and training, June smiled. If it helps, I'm considered pretty good even by human standards. Special forces training from 3 Earth military traditions. This explains much, she nodded. You are an elite among your kind, as I am among mine. A comfortable silence fell between them. June found himself studying the intricate scarring on her arms and face. Not injuries, he now realized, but cultural markings that told the story of her achievements. May I? He asked, gesturing to a particularly elaborate mark on her forearm. She extended her arm, allowing him to trace the pattern with his finger. This records my first major victory, she explained. Each marking thereafter represents a significant achievement or battle. They're beautiful, he said honestly. Something shifted in her expression. In 3 centuries, no one has ever described my battle marks as beautiful. The moment was interrupted by the sound of cutting tools on the other side of the sealed door. Looks like the rescue team finally made it, June said, standing up. Hana rose as well, her tall frame making her tower over him once again. Before they come through, there is something you should know, June Kim. The use of his name caught his attention. It was the first time she'd addressed him directly this way. When we rejoin your people, I will make an announcement according to the traditions of my culture. It may cause confusion among your kind. What kind of announcement? The door began to glow red as the cutting tools broke through the first layer. By the ancient laws of Vera, you have proven yourself my equal through combat and now through understanding. This creates a bond that my people will recognize. Her golden eyes held his steadily. I will declare you as my chosen mate. June's mouth fell open. You'll what? It is the highest honor one warrior can bestow upon another, she continued as if this explained everything. Many will not understand, especially among your people. But it is my right to choose. And I choose you. The door fell away, revealing surprised rescue workers. Captain Rivera stood among them, relief turning to confusion as she saw June and Hana standing close together. Captain Kim, report, Rivera demanded. What's your status? Before June could answer, Hana stepped forward, her voice carrying the authority of her rank. I, Hana, First Blade of Viera, declare this human, June Kim, as my chosen mate by right, of honorable combat and worthy spirit. Let it be known among all peoples. The stunned silence that followed was broken only by someone dropping a tool with a loud clang. June looked at the shocked faces of his crew, then back at the imposing blue warrior who had just announced her intention to marry him according to her cultural traditions. I tried to warn you, he said to Rivera with a weak smile. Things got a little complicated while we were trapped in here. This is absolutely out of the question. Admiral Park's hologram flickered as he paced back and forth in the conference room of the horizon. Even through the spotty connection, his anger was unmistakable. Captain Kim, you've created an interspecies incident of unprecedented proportions. June sat straight-backed in his chair, feeling like he was back in military academy. With all due respect, sir, I was following first contact protocols when I was attacked. Everything that followed was what? A romantic opportunity? The Admiral's voice dripped with sarcasm. The Vieran High Council has sent 6 warships to our position. They're demanding the return of their warrior and your head on a plate. Captain Rivera, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Admiral, there's more to this situation than appears in my initial report. The Vieran warrior, Hana, actively helped defend this ship against her own people. The Admiral rubbed his temples. And now she's claiming some sort of marriage, right? To a human? Do you have any idea how this sounds to Earth Command? About as ridiculous as it sounds to me, June admitted, earning a sharp look from Rivera. The door slid open and Hana ducked to enter the room. Even in the simple Earth clothing they'd provided, she carried herself with undeniable authority. The security officers flanking her looked like children in comparison. I request to join this discussion, she stated, not really asking permission. Admiral, Park's hologram turned, eyes widening slightly at the sight of the blue-skinned warrior. So you're the cause of all this trouble. Hana's golden eyes narrowed. I am Hana, First Blade of the Temple Guard of Viera. I have served for 3 centuries with honor. I am no troublemaker human leader. 3 centuries? The Admiral blinked. Just how long do your people live? The eldest among us have seen a millennium, she replied. I am considered young. June tried not to look startled by this information. There was still so much he didn't know about her. Regardless of your age, the Admiral continued, your people are threatening war over your declaration regarding Captain Kim. Hana took a seat next to June, the human-sized chair barely containing her. My announcement has been received by the High Council. They have sent representatives not for war but for verification. Verification? Rivera asked. They must confirm that my defeat was honorable and that my choice is genuine, Hana explained. It is unprecedented for a first. Blade to choose an off-worlder as mate. June cleared his throat. About that, we really need to discuss the whole mate thing. On Earth, these decisions involve, mutual agreement. Hana turned to him, her expression softening slightly. You think I do not understand consent? The verification includes assessing your willingness. If you reject the bond, I face disgrace but will accept your decision. Something in her eyes made June hesitate. There was pride there, yes, but also vulnerability he hadn't noticed before. The Admiral's hologram flickered again. Captain Kim's willingness is irrelevant. This is a diplomatic matter now, not a personal one. The Earth Alliance cannot condone such an arrangement without proper treaties and protocols. The ship's communications officer burst into the room without knocking. Captain Rivera, the Viren ships are deploying shuttles. They're requesting immediate docking permission. Rivera looked to the Admiral, who nodded grimly. Let them board, but triple security and alert all personnel to remain in designated areas. As the officer hurried out, Hana stood. I must prepare to meet the council representatives. There are rituals that must be observed. After she left, escorted by security, the Admiral fixed June with a stern look. Captain Kim, you will do nothing to further complicate this situation. Is that clear? Crystal clear, sir. 2 hours later, June stood in the Horizon's largest cargo bay, now hastily converted into a reception area. Captain Rivera had ordered him into his formal uniform, though he felt ridiculous standing at attention while waiting for alien dignitaries to judge his worthiness as a potential mate. The bay doors opened to reveal 6 Viren warriors, each nearly as imposing as Hana. They wore ceremonial armor that gleamed under the ship's lights, their faces marked with intricate patterns that made their expressions even more unreadable. Hana entered from another door, now dressed in what appeared to be formal Viren attire, a close-fitting suit of deep blue material with metallic embellishments that emphasized her powerful physique. The lead Viren stepped forward, golden eyes scanning the assembled humans, before settling on June. This is the one who defeated First Blade Hana? Captain Rivera nodded. Captain June Kim, Earth Alliance Special Forces. The Viren's expression might have been skepticism. He is small. One of the other warriors spoke in their native language, too quick for the translators to catch. Several of them laughed, a sound like distant thunder. Hana stepped forward, her posture rigid. Tae-jin, second blade of the Temple Guard, I present my chosen. He defeated me using intelligence and skill rather than raw strength. This is exactly what our traditions honor, finding true strength in unexpected forms. Tae-jin, the leader of the delegation, circled June slowly. Our records show no human has ever bested a Viren warrior in combat. This claim requires verification. What kind of verification? June asked, maintaining eye contact despite having to look up significantly. A smile that wasn't entirely friendly spread across Tae-jin's face. Combat verification. You will face me in the challenge circle. Rivera stepped forward. Absolutely not. Captain Kim is under my command and I will not authorize. I accept, June interrupted. The cargo bay fell silent. June, Rivera said quietly, this is suicide. Perhaps, Tae-jin agreed, but it is the only way. If he truly defeated Hana through skill, He must prove it was not mere chance. Hana moved to June's side. This was not part of the verification protocol. You overstepped, Tae. Jin, do I? The second blade's eyes gleamed. For centuries I have stood in your shadow, Hana. When news came of your defeat and subsequent choice, many on the council suspected manipulation or deception. I volunteered to discover the truth. Understanding dawned on June. This wasn't just about him. It was Viren politics. You've wanted to challenge Hana for position but couldn't beat her. So now you'll try to discredit her by defeating me. Tai Jin's expression confirmed his suspicion. If I beat you, June continued, thinking quickly, it proves Hana's defeat was legitimate and her choice valid. If you beat me, you can claim she was somehow tricked or compromised. Your small human understands our ways better than expected. Tae Jin said to Hana. Let us begin. Admiral Park's voice came through the comm system. This is outrageous. Captain Kim, stand down immediately. But June had already stepped into the circle the Viren warriors were forming. He knew he had only one chance to make this work, not just for himself, but for the future of human-Viren relations. Before we start, he said loudly, I want to clarify the rules. I defeated Hana using human combat techniques. If this is to be a fair test, I should be allowed to fight in my way, not by Viren standards. Tae Jin considered this. Agreed. You may use whatever methods you choose. The outcome alone matters. As the circle closed around them, June caught Hana's eye. Her expression conveyed both concern and something else. Trust, perhaps. Begin, shouted one of the Viren warriors. Tae Jin moved with frightening speed for someone so large, but June was ready. He had studied Hana's fighting style and suspected all temple guards trained similarly. Instead of dodging, June stepped directly toward the charging warrior, a counterintuitive move that momentarily confused Tae Jin. What followed was less a fight than a dangerous dance. June used every trick he'd learned in years of special forces training, focusing on leverage and momentum, rather than strength. Each time Tae Jin expected resistance, June offered none, instead redirecting the massive warrior's energy against him. 3 minutes in, frustration began to show on Tae Jin's face. He hadn't landed a single solid blow, while June had managed several precisely targeted strikes to pressure points. Stand still and fight properly, Tae Jin growled. This is how humans fight, June replied calmly, sidestepping another powerful but predictable attack. We adapt. The end came suddenly. Tae Jin, growing increasingly reckless, launched a powerful overhead strike that would have crushed June instantly. Instead of retreating, June stepped inside the warrior's guard and struck the same nerve cluster he had used against Hana. The massive Viren froze, then collapsed to his knees, his right arm temporarily paralyzed. Silence fell over the cargo bay. Even Admiral Park's hologram seemed speechless. June stood over Tae Jin, breathing hard but uninjured. I believe that concludes the verification. The other Viren warriors looked at each other, then to Hana, who stepped forward with unmistakable pride in her posture. The human speaks truth. The verification is complete. Her voice carried throughout the bay. June Kim has proven himself worthy by our oldest traditions. Will the council accept my choice now? The oldest of the Viren delegates nodded slowly. It will be recorded. The first blade has chosen with honor. As medical teams attended to Tae Jin, the tension in the room shifted to something new, a tentative respect. Humans and Virens regarded each other with fresh eyes. Captain Rivera approached June. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen a junior officer do, she said quietly, though there was grudging admiration in her voice. June glanced at Hana, who was now engaged in formal discussion with the Viren delegation. Maybe both, Captain, but I think we just took the first real step toward understanding each other. The Admiral's hologram flickered back to life. Captain Kim, a word in private. Now. As June followed Rivera toward the conference room, he caught Hana watching him. She inclined her head slightly, a gesture of respect that, coming from her, meant more than any metal Earth could bestow. Whatever diplomatic storm lay ahead, they had passed the first hurdle. The rest, somehow, they would face together. The observation deck of the Earth Alliance diplomatic station had been transformed beyond recognition. Vieran crystalline decorations caught the light of the nearby nebula, casting blue and purple reflections across the gathered crowd. On one side stood the human delegation in their formal attire. On the other, the towering blue-skinned Vierans, in ceremonial armor that seemed alive with shifting patterns. June tugged at the collar of his dress uniform, uncomfortable with being the center of attention. 6 months had passed since his unexpected victory over Tai Jin, and the diplomatic whirlwind hadn't slowed for a moment. What had begun as a potential interspecies conflict had evolved into the most significant peace treaty in human history. All because he'd managed to take down the right warrior at the right time. Nervous? Asked Admiral Park, now his ally rather than his critic. The older man had eventually recognized the opportunity June's unusual situation presented. Terrified, June admitted. I've faced less pressure during covert operations behind enemy lines. The Admiral chuckled. Most grooms feel the same way, even when they're marrying within their species. He glanced toward the Viren side of the room. Though I must say, your bride is particularly intimidating. June followed his gaze to where Hana stood conversing with the High Council representatives. Even among her own kind, she stood out, taller, more commanding, her ceremonial armor more elaborate to reflect her status. The last 6 months had given June time to see beyond her warrior exterior to the complex person beneath, her dry humor, her curiosity about human ways, her unexpected gentleness when they were alone. The relationship that had begun as a cultural obligation had become something neither of them had anticipated, something real. A soft tone signaled the beginning of the ceremony. The crowd parted, creating a path down the center of the room. June took his position at one end while Hana moved to the other. Ambassador Chen, representing Earth, stepped forward alongside Elder Koda of the Viren High Council. Together they would officiate this unprecedented union. Today marks not merely the joining of two individuals, Chen began, her voice carrying across the silent room, but a historic first step toward the true union of our worlds. Elder Koda's deeper voice continued. For millennia, the Viren people have believed that true strength comes in many forms. Today, we recognize that wisdom extends beyond our own kind. At a signal, June began walking forward. Across the room, Hana did the same. They had rehearsed this carefully, a blending of Earth and Viren traditions. As they approached each other, June was struck again by the strange path that had brought them here, from combat to captivity, to something neither culture had words to fully describe. They met in the center, Hana towering over him as always. But her golden eyes held warmth now, not the cold assessment of their first meeting. In accordance with the traditions of Earth, Ambassador Chen said, Captain June Kim and First Blade Hana will exchange vows of their own creation. June took a deep breath. They had agreed he would speak first. Hana, when we met, I was following protocol. Observe, report, do not engage. A ripple of laughter passed through the human side of the audience. I've never been so glad to fail at following orders. What began as survival became respect, then understanding, and finally something I never expected to find halfway across, the galaxy. He reached out, taking her much larger hand in his. Earth traditions speak of partnerships based on equality, even when we are different. I promise to stand with you as your equal, not in strength, but in determination, loyalty, and heart. Hana's expression softened in the way June had come to recognize as her smile. When she spoke, her resonant voice carried effortlessly. June Kim, warrior of Earth. Our ways teach that true compatibility is proven through challenge. You challenged, not just my strength, but my understanding of strength itself. She placed her free hand over his. For centuries I stood alone, believing no one could match me. You showed me that matching does not mean mirroring. Your mind complements my force. Your adaptability balances my power. Several of the Viren warriors nodded in approval. By the ancient laws of Viera, Hana continued, I pledge myself to you, not as conqueror or conquered, but as chosen equal. Your battles are mine, your victories my pride. Elder Coda stepped forward, presenting an intricate metal bracelet. In the tradition of Viera, the joining band represents unbroken strength. Hana took the bracelet and secured it around June's wrist. It adjusted automatically to his size, the metal warm against his skin. Ambassador Chen then presented a simple, gold ring. In Earth tradition, the circle represents endless commitment. June placed the ring in Hana's palm. It had been specially crafted to fit her larger fingers. By the authority of the Earth Alliance, Chen proclaimed. And the blessing of the Viren High Council, Elder Coda added. We recognize this union across worlds, they finished together. The assembled dignitaries erupted in applause. The humans enthusiastically, the Virans with more restraint but genuine approval. As formal as the ceremony had been, the celebration that followed broke down the remaining barriers between the two species. Human officers found themselves engaged in animated conversations with Viren warriors about combat techniques. Viren scholars eagerly questioned Earth scientists about human adaptability. June and Hana moved through the crowd together, the physical contrast between them drawing curious glances from both sides. Captain Kim, called a young Earth officer. Is it true you'll be heading the new joint training program? June nodded. The Earth Viren Defense Initiative will begin next month. We're looking for volunteers. The officer glanced nervously at the Viren warriors nearby. Isn't training with them dangerous for humans? Hana answered before June could. All growth requires risk, young warrior. Your captain taught us this. She placed a hand on June's shoulder. Humans lack our physical strength, but your adaptability and tactical thinking are abilities our warriors can learn from. Admiral Park joined them, accompanied by several members of the High Council. The treaty is officially ratified, he announced. The technology exchange begins tomorrow. And the EIDAS Defensive Alliance, June asked, approved unanimously, confirmed one of the council members. The Krell Dominion will think twice before expanding into this sector now. The mention of the aggressive neighboring empire sobered the moment. Both humans and Virans had suffered from Krell raids along their borders. The alliance had practical benefits beyond cultural exchange. Later, as the celebration wound down, June and Hana found a quiet moment alone on a secluded part of the observation deck. The nebula filled the viewport with swirling colors, stars glinting like scattered gems. Having second thoughts? Hana asked, noticing his contemplative expression. June smiled. Just thinking about how differently things could have gone. If I'd run instead of fighting you that first day, I would have caught you easily, she said with characteristic directness. Probably, he laughed. But then we wouldn't be here. Our worlds wouldn't be joining forces. Hana was silent for a moment, watching the nebula. My people have a saying, the strongest current finds unexpected channels. We have something similar on Earth. Everything happens for a reason. She considered this. Do you believe that? That some greater design brought us together? I don't know, June said honestly. But I'm glad it happened, whatever the reason. Hana's hand found his, engulfing it completely, yet holding it with surprising gentleness. The Council has asked me to continue as First Blade, but with new responsibilities. I will lead our warriors in learning from your people. And Earth Command wants me to serve as military liaison to Viera, June added. It seems our work is just beginning. As it should be. Hana's golden eyes reflected the stars. A union is not an ending, but a beginning. Our peoples have much to learn from each other. As if to emphasize her point, laughter drifted from the main reception area, the unmistakable deep rumble of Viren amusement mixed with human voices. Look at that. June nodded toward the sound. A few months ago they were ready to go to war. Now they're sharing jokes. Perhaps that is the greatest strength humans possess, Hana observed. Your ability to turn enemies into allies, to find connection where others see only difference. June thought about his journey from soldier to diplomat, from captor to partner. Maybe that's humanity's gift to the galaxy, Not our technology or our tactics, but our capacity to adapt and connect. Hana's expression softened into her version of a smile. Then I chose well, my human warrior. The nebula's light shifted across them, blue and purple and gold, as the unlikely couple looked out at the stars that no longer represented boundaries, but bridges between their worlds. Behind them, humans and Virans continued to find common ground, their distinct voices blending into something new. The first harmonies of a future neither species could have imagined alone.